Welcome to the TU Market Show. The date today is Monday the 1st of October 2018. In this episode we will look at the current state of the UK's housing market and the mania bubble surrounding it. We will also look at the potential scenario of a big housing crash in the UK. It's no new news that the housing across the globe is now a speculative market, and to be honest, it has been for the best part of 30 years now. In the UK alone, we have had 4 housing crashes since the 70s. We had the crash in the 70s, the housing crash of the late 80s, the mid-90s recession, and the mortgage meltdown of 2008. Now, we are here again, residing over the 5th housing crash in 50 years. So, has this bubble burst, or can it go further? A recent poll by property experts stated that there is a 1 in 3 chance that London house prices could crash. Other experts are stating that the UK housing market is a bubble within a bubble. United Kingdom's biggest estate agent owner, Countrywide, is on the verge of bankruptcy and just received a rescue package to stay afloat. Many property firms from Redrow to Persimmon to Barratt's Developments are now advocating a downturn in the market with rough conditions ahead. KPMG have just recently run a report based on rough conditions coming in the housing market. Now let's look at the numbers, the debt levels, and the reason behind why the coming crash will be detrimental to the economy as a whole and more severe and historic crashes. During the last economic crash in 2008, UK house prices fell nationwide by 26%, with London and the South East falling up to 40% in some areas. The average UK home price from June 2018 stands at £228,000. Currently, as we stand, the UK total mortgage debt bill is near £1.4 trillion, and the UK is the largest in Europe in regards of money lent and outstanding loans for mortgages. Out of all mortgages within the UK, buy-to-let mortgages equate to 70% of all UK mortgages. So basically a minimum of 17 out of 100 homes are used for investment and or speculative purposes. Now, are home prices sky high? Well, the total value of all the homes in Kensington and Chelsea alone are valued more than the whole GDP economy of South Africa. Now that's one crazy comparison. Many first-time buyers are out of reach of purchasing a home solely due to sky-high prices are inducing high deposit requirements. First-time buyers are even resorting to the bank of mum and dad in order to get onto the housing ladder. Regular debates in Parliament and regular news articles all push the agenda of UK home prices being overpriced, especially when it comes to London and surrounding areas. Even a lot of people are emigrating out of London and the South East and buying homes elsewhere just to save money on the price of what they pay for a home. So yes, it's very apparent that housing prices are too high and the figures back this up. So, does the stock market paint a similar picture of these record high prices? Well, no. Actually, the market is already showing us different signs. 8 out of 10 UK house building and home related share prices are now trading lower than 12 months ago. United Kingdom's biggest estate agent owner, Countrywide, is on the verge of bankruptcy and just received a £140 million rescue package, as I mentioned before, and currently their share price is trading at an all-time low. London home prices have fallen for the past 6 months now. So there are various indicators within the market that is showing us that this bubble could have already burst, but the real housing economy doesn't show the same sign. But what's popping this bubble? What is causing this slow downturn with the companies and instruments residing within the stock market that is related to the United Kingdom housing sector? I believe the interest rates are the time bomb behind this. The average mortgage interest rate in the UK stands at around 2.7%, and the total UK mortgage debt bill in the UK stands at £1.4 trillion. So if we work at the average total interest cost to service all these mortgages in the UK, then we work at 2.7% on £1.4 trillion, which comes to 37 to 38 billion pounds. United Kingdom homeowners are currently paying around £37 billion a year just on the interest on their mortgages, and that does not include the payback of the mortgage itself. So it's apparent that rising interest rates will cause a downturn in UK house prices. If the average mortgage interest rate hits 5% within the next 24 months, then an extra potential £32 billion a year is needed just in interest rate payments. And I personally think the UK living wage cannot handle this. If rates rise to 7 or 8% plus, it's game over for a lot of mortgages, and the housing market with prices falling, it will be game over with a lot of mortgages and the housing market with prices falling most likely more than 40% plus. We would literally be left with a market with minuscule buyers and only sellers. Another key statistic is that during 2017, UK homeowners who took out equity from their home via remortgaging increased by 20%, which is a high number. So a lot of homeowners are taking equity out of their homes, which means they are taking away the equity cushion. So when house prices do fall, they are opening themselves up to a potential negative equity situation. 0.7% of all UK mortgage owners are in arrears, so 7 mortgages out of every 1,000 mortgages are in arrears, which is a strong number, and it does show that currently UK homeowners are keeping up to date with their mortgage payments. So what we have is a high mortgage bill backed up with sky high value homes. But the trouble will come when the value of these homes fall and the debt on these homes rise. That's when homeowners could enter negative equity territory, which is a dangerous territory to enter, not only for the homeowners themselves, but for the economy as a whole. One thing that this crash will do, it will unearth the generational division between baby boomers and millennials. When it comes to the overall national consensus towards this housing bubble and the prices of homes falling sharply, I believe that it is not all doom and gloom. Actually, to a generation of millions of millennials, this crash will be welcomed with open arms. The same can be said for housing developers who wish to buy cheap homes and to sell down the line for a profit. The same can be said for investors with a lot of capital. This crash will be a great opportunity. To stock market traders, hedges and speculators like myself, this crash is a great opportunity not only to buy up housing stocks on the cheap, but to also bet against the key players and the sectors linked to the housing market. But for homeowners and the economy as a whole, the housing market crashing will obviously be a negative event. And yes, it will affect household saving levels. And yes, it will affect future investments. And yes, it will grind current investments, which will halt job growth. But at the end of the day, housing should not be a speculative asset. It should be a stable asset, not deemed to the volatility witnessed in the past. Sky high prices are good for existing homeowners, but they are bad for first-time buyers and renters. Low home prices are good for first-time buyers and the economy, but they are bad for existing homeowners. So what we need to do, we need to find an equal playing field. Currently, the ground is not equal. It is in favour towards a minority. So this crash can be seen as more of a correction where home prices will come back to reality. The average UK home price is nearly 6 times the average UK wage, and this isn't a viable ratio. We need fair price homes, and this crash will create those fair prices. Personally, I believe that home prices need to be roughly 4 to 5 times higher than the average UK wage. But indirectly, this crash will create a sort of wealth transfer from the baby boomers towards the millennials and the smart money players. A major event that will occur during the crash will be a mass squeezing of the middle class, but that consists of mainly baby boomers. They do. Within the next 36 months, there will be a hell of a lot of UK homeowners coming to a conclusion based upon staying up to date with their mortgage payments or defaulting on their mortgage debt. Now let's look at an example why this can happen. Let's say a family purchase a home in Kent today, which costs, let's say, £300,000, which is a fair price home for Kent at its current environment. They then put down a 10% deposit, which is £30,000, and they borrowed £270,000 for a mortgage. At the current rates, the total paid back amount on this mortgage over 30 years will be around £380,000 to £400,000. So let's say within the next 18 months, the UK housing market falls nationwide, and that £300,000 home now will be worth £180,000. It takes a 40% hit. So a home that is valued at £180,000 and has £30,000 equity in it now has a £270,000 loan to back it up. This means that that family will be subject to a negative equity territory where they owe £60,000 more than the total equity in their home and including the total value of their home. And that does not include the interest rate payments on that mortgage. So the bank will then be forced to ask them to post more equity via cash, or they will want to potentially take back the home in order to mitigate the risk of not getting paid. Now this seems like a very far off scenario, but no, it's not. This happened 10 years ago during the crash of 2008. 10 years ago, UK mortgage foreclosures over doubled by 105% within 2 years from 2008 to 2010. UK mortgage default rates increased nearly 200% from 2008 to 2010. And this was just in the UK. Across America and Europe, it was a far worse picture. So the homeowners who will be affected by this coming turbulence will be homeowners who hold less than 20 to 25% equity in their home. A homeowner who has a 10% equity in their home is more at risk than a homeowner who has 25% equity in their home. This comparison can be used as a protective strategy. So if you hold less than 20% equity in your home, then the wise thing to do is to try to post more equity and to extend your fixed rate. It's a smart thing to do, and it protects you as a homeowner. So how can we profit from this plunge? How can we take advantage from this mess? Well, as I mentioned before, to some folk, this housing crash is a wonderful opportunity. That home that is valued at £300,000 now will be potentially worth £180,000 to £200,000 within the next 18 to 24 months. That sounds great for the first time home buyer and an investor, right? Yes, it bloody does. So the way I look at it is like this. That £300,000 home now goes down to £200,000 in 24 months. So I decide to buy that home with a £20,000 deposit down, and I take out a £180,000 mortgage. I then decide to rent that home out for £1,000 a month for the next 5 years, which reaps me an income of £60,000 over a 5-year period. Then 5 years down the line, the value of that home is then worth £300,000 because home prices have rallied, the crash has ended, and the value of homes have rebounded. That means I then have a £300,000 home that I have paid £60,000 off from £180,000 mortgage. So I then owe £120,000 on a home valued at £300,000, and I originally invested £20,000. I then decide to sell that home, and I produce a £180,000 profit via investing £20,000, which is a good return. Actually, it's a gross return of 800% over 5 years, and it's an annual average return of 160% per year. So mathematically and value-wise, it is apparent that this crash is a great opportunity. Now, within the past 6 months, I have subscribed to many local estate agents, Acorn to Foxtons and many, many others. They then hammered me with calls regarding new homes on the market, and ironically, these calls spiked after the latest interest rate rise. So I then resorted to calling up the agents, and I explained to them my strategy in the market and why I subscribed. I said to them to call me when there are loads of homes on the market, but a small amount of buyers. They seemed very confused and wary about this. I literally had to explain to them that I want to buy into the market when most other people are selling. And I even had to explain my reason, which was why I want to buy a home at a very low price, because I wish to sell that home at a very high price. Kind of understandable, right? Currently, home prices are at their record highs. So is it wise for me to buy now? I asked the agents. All of the agents, except for one agent, said, no, it's not wise to buy now. And these are estate agents, I must remind you. And the one who didn't say no said, well, even if there is a crash, Mike, then down the line you'll still be able to sell. Yeah, okay, great. It was a very educated experience, I must say. But we can't blame the estate agents or the mortgage brokers or even the home builders, because the bottom line is they are in it for the money and the commissions, which is understandable. But it does show that the economic reality within the industry itself is lost and has been replaced for the capture of profits. But hey, that's capitalism, and we are all capitalists, Dan. What it shows us is that for the future, don't rely on estate agents or the brokers or the home builders when it comes to home buying. What we must rely on is firm financial advice from an advisor. Buying a 300 grand home with a 400 grand mortgage is a very, very important decision when it comes to finances. So the best people to seek advice from is the financial advisors, not the players in the game who are set to make money upon the more homes that they sell. Now let's look at TU market stance when it comes to this housing crash and how we are manoeuvring around it, how we potentially intend to profit from the plunge. We have two portfolios where we are betting against the UK housing market, with one portfolio holding put options and the other portfolio holding futures. The put options portfolio is very, very high risk, but it comes with a much higher risk. It comes with a much higher reward, I must say. We are holding a put option basket on 8 different companies, and these options expire between 2018 and June 2019. The companies we are short on are Barratt Developments, Land Securities, Kingfisher PLC. They are exposed to the construction and the housing market via its retail operations that include B&Q, Screwfix and Brico Depot. Retail and construction and housing together is one very, very toxic recipe at the moment. Hammerson PLC, they specialise in real estate investments. We are also betting against Ferguson PLC and the CRH Group, who are both exposed to the market via home building materials. And we are also short on Travis Perkins and the British Land Company. And we have worked out that our risk to reward ratio comes to a maximum loss of 95% of our capital invested, combined with a maximum return of no more than £6,000. So every £100 we invest into this basket, we run the risk of losing £95, but we run the reward of making £6,000. Now let's look at our futures portfolio. That includes companies like Timon Holdings, which are exposed to materials and building products, Berkeley Group, which have a lot of homes on their books, Barratt Developments, the same, Bovis Homes, Crest Nicholson, Taylor Wimpey, and another 15 different companies. We have hedged our futures portfolio with call options on the FTSE 100 and futures on companies exposed to the market, but they have a minor exposure to the market, and these include Rightmove, Zoopla, and a few others. In order to gain access to TU Market's full positions, these trade layouts and the strike prices, and all the research, then do feel free to subscribe to our members section. Membership is currently free, and we will be charging from January the 1st, 2019. So do sign up before January 2019. The way I look at these trades is the same way that many looked at the mortgage meltdown in 2008. Knowing that there is a housing crash coming isn't Einstein material. It's basic common sense. The key to all of this is the timing. A housing crash will happen, but the key is, when will it happen? The biggest correlations that we are looking towards the timing are a black swan event where a bank randomly collapses, or another major event occurs that hits the stock market as a whole. The other three biggest triggers will be a hard Brexit, a populist-based event, or interest rates rising. Interest rates rising will crash the market 100%. A populist-based event will fuel fear into the market, which will potentially trigger a downturn, and other various events like interest rates rising, which will contribute towards that downturn. A populist-based event is something that is far off, but as we see at the moment with the far left and the far right division, it is residing over us. So it is one of the biggest contributions that could trigger a housing downturn. A hard Brexit will 100% trigger a housing crash, but, and that's a big but, if the Bank of England pump more money into the economy, like what they did back in 2016 when they pumped £250 billion the day after the Brexit vote into the economy, then that will prolong the housing crash, just like it did in 2016 to now. So if there is a hard Brexit, the housing market could indirectly be saved by another monetary package based on certain negative effects occurring in the stock market, which is based upon a hard Brexit. So do look at a potential monetary package related towards the coming Brexit, and that could very much contribute towards a housing crash, the housing crash being prolonged for another year or two. So to TU Markets, this is a very, very potential profitable trade if it comes off for us. But we have noticed that it is also a great strategy to hedge a home, or even a home building business or a construction business. We have consulted a few homeowners and home building companies upon this strategy, and we have noticed that they are adopting this as a form of financial protection. So if any of you guys do have exposure to the housing market, or you do own a home, then do look to protect it or your company by using the stock market, and the financial instruments that they provide. So in summary, the United Kingdom is currently on the verge of a housing crash. The figures and the numbers show it, and the market is giving us indicators of it. But when will this market crash? That's the main thing, as I mentioned before. To some, this crash is doom and gloom. To others, this crash is like Christmas come early. To the economy as a whole, it won't be a pretty sight. So the smart money in my eyes lays with those who are short on the United Kingdom housing market and those who have protected their home or business via hedging tactics. Time will soon show us how this plays out. Now, thanks for listening to today's episode, and I hope I've given you some interesting opinions on the UK housing market and the coming crash, and I hope I have given you a viable view. Stay hungry, stay focused, and tread careful. Until the next show, have a fortunate and a vigorous week.